insurance more than once, and this drought may have something to do with that in one way or other. But while shopping, you might have found yourself having to choose between an insurance broker and an insurance agent. In this week's Personal Finance segment, we take a look at the difference between the two. And joining me now for this discussion is Richard Hurt, Director at GCI Risk Services. Richard, thank you so much for the time. Let's first start off by discussing the difference between short-term and long-term insurance. I think let's make that clarity.
Well, short-term insurance obviously deals with the insurance of assets primarily, which is things such as your car, your home, your house, and it tends to be an annual contract between the insurer and the customer. Long-term insurance obviously deals with life aspects, so it's more for the long term. It's really to safeguard your kind of legacy following an incident that may happen to you. So it's life versus short-term. Short-term being assets, life obviously being about individuals.
Yeah. And then the difference then between an insurance broker and an insurance agent, any difference there?
I think I just need to clarify that the word agent, I think in the context of the discussion, is more about a direct insurer.
Okay.
A direct insurer obviously is an insurer who operates as a company and then sells the company's products directly to the consumer. An insurance broker is appointed by the consumer and obviously represents the consumer and then places the insurance into an insurance company.
And I mean, with short-term insurance, though, it becomes a little bit complicated if you sort of selling direct or with the agent, so to speak, which is the direct selling of short-term insurance. Why the complication in that front?
I don't think it's necessarily complicated. I think the consumer is spoilt with so much choice. There's a myriad of direct insurers who are very prominent in the media space, where I think as an insurance broker, that those clients tend to be drawn towards an insurance broker based on relationship, the fact that they know an insurance broker who they may play golf with or they're friends with. So it is a different type of distinction between the two, in that an insurance broker is a relationship-driven business where a direct insurer tends to be more commoditized and based on brand, reputation, and the name of the business.
So which one's best then? Which one should you generally be going for?
Well, I think once again that depends on the consumer. I would like to think, being in the intermediary space or the broker space, that it's preferable to deal with an insurance broker. And the reason for that is we're able really to build sound relationships with our customers. If you consider that the majority of claims can be quite traumatic events for consumers, a home invasion, a crime incident, a severe motor accident, the fact that you actually have a relationship with an insurance broker who can kind of hold your hand through that process and ensure that the claim is dealt with quickly and effectively is some comfort, I think, to the consumer.
Taking into cognizance the local economy, which is cheaper? Because that'll be very important.
I think it's sometimes a misnomer as to which one is cheaper, and obviously direct insurers do prominently advertise the fact that they are cheaper than the rest. I think the advantage of being an insurance broker is that we obviously have a panel of insurers that we can engage with, and by virtue of that we can select the right product and by virtue of that the right price. So I don't think there's a kind of a generic answer as to what is cheaper. Obviously cheaper, you've got to be wary of cheaper. Cheaper often means restrictive policy conditions. It means at claim stage your claim might not be paid by the insurer. So you've got to be a little bit careful about price, and I think consumers do often see insurance as a grudge purchase and tend to go towards the cheapest price, but that's not necessarily the best product to suit their individual risk-related needs.
And how do you choose then one that will actually suit your best individual needs, whether it be short-term, whether it be long-term, whether it be with a broker or the direct model?
Well, I think once again it just depends on the consumer himself as to what sort of are their buying patterns. If it is price, they may be drawn to price, not knowing the pitfalls of what they're buying. It really just depends on the consumer's kind of requirements, So as I say, there's so much choice out there, and the consumer has to be aware of what the pitfalls are of cheap insurance. In the intermediary space or the broker space, we tend to understand the client's risk-related needs. We often deal with them on a one-to-one basis, like we're doing, you and I chatting now. So we really get to know who we're dealing with as an individual, what their needs are, and then can package a solution around around their specific needs.
The next one is just a general question, I suppose, within the insurance space itself. The time taken usually for claims, etc., and perhaps the engagement, with the person who's taken out the claim sometimes seems a little bit skewed, with consumers saying their needs aren't heard correctly, or one thing that they said before isn't, adhered to now when the claim is being put forward. What is your advice to somebody who has an issue of that sort?
Well, clearly, claims are the moments of truth, aren't they? That's what you buy insurance for. So this is where it's highly important that you are dealing with somebody, and a reputable either insurance broker or even direct insurer who can, at the moment of truth, at claim stage, can settle claim quickly and promptly. Often, especially in a business context, business insurance, often a serious claim can put a business out of business. So we're very cognizant of that. So we ensure that claims are dealt with speedily, they're settled fairly, importantly, to ensure that our customers are put back into the same position they were immediately prior to the loss.
Well, sadly, we've run out of time, but very quickly on your part, can a farmer who's suffering from this drought actually claim insurance if they've had any? Can you claim for a drought?
Typically, products for drought-related aren't readily available. I guess certain risks associated with a drought, such as dry weather conditions, which could lead to fires and the like, could play a role in that. I'm not specifically an expert in crop insurance, but obviously there are various products out there, and normally the rule of thumb with these things, if there is a risk, it is insurable in one way or form.
Fantastic. Richard, always great having you. Thank you so much for the time. Richard Hood, Director at GCI Risk Services. Well, let's head off now to the United States, where hundreds of demonstrators are demanding a $15 an hour minimum wage. U.S. fast food workers are on strike for a minimum wage. Organizers of the union-backed Fight for $15 campaign say strikes will take place in 270 cities. Rallies are scheduled for 500 cities, including outside the televised debate of Republican presidential candidates in Milwaukee. Many U.S. cities and municipalities have already set a higher base rate than the federal minimum of $7 an hour. Last December, the group staged similar protests in some 200 cities. Industry lobby groups say the proposed pay raises will be economically unsustainable and will cause job losses. Well, SARS will extend its office hours ahead of the e-filing deadline. Branches will extend working days to Saturdays for the next 2 weekends. That's on November 14 and the 21st, in anticipation of an increase in the number of taxpayers who will file their returns. The offices will be open from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. in 25 branches around the country. To date, over 3.56 million taxpayers have filed their income tax returns in line with SARS's forecasts. I hope you're one of those 3 million people. Our fact of the day is coming up after this. Do stay with us.
Apps, gadgets, gaming, and big tech moves. Tech Report has it all. Our roving presenters bring you the news that's making waves in the world of technology and introduce you to tomorrow's big stars. Don't miss your weekly dose of cool. Tech Report, Wednesdays at 9:30.
This week on Mags on Media, celebrating Africa's best brands. A new cosmetics ad that has the industry talking, and the lowdown on the 2015 Pendurang Awards, celebrating the best in Afrikaans advertising. Mags on Media, leading the brand communications debate only on eNCA.
Now, every Monday and Wednesday, Moneyline brings you a fact of the day. These will relate to South Africa and the country's economy with the information supplied by 8020 Consulting. And here's our fact of the day.